Hi, I'm Vicky Carter, and you're watching the Let's Go Kickass Today video special. It's been a while, I'll be honest, a couple of months at least, and so much has changed across the world, in the UK, and hopefully within yourself as well. I couldn't relaunch this podcast without looking back at what has changed. And the Black Lives Matter movement has started a conversation with, let's be honest, has been around for centuries. But more people are talking now, and most importantly, more people are listening. I wanted to have an episode dedicated to remarkable individuals from the fields of music, adventure, and culture, of course, but moments in their lives where they faced racism. You'll be able to hear all 3 interviews from November the 15th, where my podcast relaunches. But in the meantime, enjoy the video special and the awkward internet moments. My first interview is with musician, singer-songwriter and producer Veda Black.
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. I'm all right,
Good.
but it's one of the hottest days in the
It's
UK.
so hot. Yeah. so hot.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me in
Oh,
both of our boxes on
I
like
know.
unstable internet. This is
Exactly.
what we
Just
can
doing
do.
our best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I listen to your music and it's fantastic. You know, when it slid into my emails and I listened and I just thought, oh my gosh, yeah, I really want to chat to this woman. And
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I mean, when was that moment where you started creating music and you just thought, right, this is it, this is what I want to do, you know?
I was definitely always singing around the house as a child, or I knew that I wanted to be creative, but I think when I got to maybe about 13 and I started playing the guitar and trying to write songs, I think I realised that I've never been that in love with something or that passionate about something. And I think from then I was pretty sure that in some way I wanted to be able to write and release music, however, whatever capacity that ended up being, but just that I wanted it to be a part of my life in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you merge also a lot of genres of music as well.
Oh,
And I think you do that really well. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's good to hear.
I've heard that your guitar is called Beyonce. Is that
Oh
right?
my God. I love that you know that. And yes, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Is it because she's such a queen and she's one of
Yeah,
the...
basically.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think, yeah, if I call the guitar Beyonce, it definitely makes me pick her up and play her more. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think makes you feel like empowered and inspired to say,
Yeah,
okay,
for
you know,
sure.
her energies in this guitar.
Yeah,
To me. I mean, is there any other inspirational women, you know,
Oh
in
gosh, yeah.
music that just
Yeah, for sure.
inspire your music, but also in your life as well?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I think definitely Amy Winehouse massively. I think I have always had great respect for her as like an artist, and listening to her lyrics and how she speaks about her experiences so openly about mental health or things like that. I always her art really resonated with me. So Amy Winehouse, big time for sure. I'm trying to think of other people. I mean, definitely like, Aretha Franklin. I'm a big Mariah Carey fan. I think she's fabulous. But no, I think Amy really impacted me massively and very inspired by her.
Yeah. Oh, and I kind of hear the mirrors and the parallels of that with
That's
Sad
cool.
Girls Club.
Okay, yeah,
I feel like
sure.
you're being taken on this emotional journey, and it's the
Sure.
start of it. What kind of feelings were you going through when you were creating that?
Yeah, sure. I think there was definitely a period of it was like I took a break from releasing music, maybe for like a year and a half. I didn't want to pick up my guitar, had no enjoyment in trying to sing or produce anything. Very stuck in that kind of 9-to-5 circle. And then one day I came back. I went to New York for a break, and when I came back I just picked up the guitar and started writing Serious, and I think that was the start of it. That was the first song, and I started realizing that there was something, I think, comforting as well in being a bit more vulnerable in how I was writing lyrics, and a bit more open in the fact that I was struggling a bit at the time, and that's I think what birthed the Sad Girls EP.
Oh, but it's so
Yeah.
wonderful. I was listening and I was
Thank
I
you.
felt a connection, like I've
Yeah,
been
sure.
there. I know
Yeah.
what she's
Yeah.
doing.
Wow, okay, well that's good to hear that it's, that it's relatable and not.
No, definitely. And I love Serious as well. It's just so
Oh, thank
sassy, so
you.
catchy.
Yeah, that's so nice.
especially as you've highlighted with Aretha Franklin, you know, she was one of the influences.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can hear it in the empowering lyrics. Is that something that you've wanted to mirror with your work?
Yeah, for sure. I think always, because I mean, that period, that kind of 60s, 70s soul, Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye is a massive era of inspiration for me. So when I was writing that song in particular, I was thinking, you know, arrangement wise, paying homage to that kind of sound. So yeah, for sure. I'm glad you hear that. in the song,
no, you do it so well.
Thank
definitely. You. So you've highlighted, you know, the grain of 9 to 5 and how hard it is. And so you have to actually like step away from that zone to then be creative, you know. What advice would you give to someone who is, you know, trying to juggle a hustle, something they love, and then also a 9 to 5?
I think obviously you have to be really in love with what you do so that it's worth doing this, because I guess anything that you love is going to be a bit hard. But yes, I think it is important to try and find some kind of schedule or routine that works for you, like whether it is working the whole 9 to 5, doing it full. If you need to do, maybe you don't need to work full time. But I think, you know, I think I've had trial and error, especially doing kind of secretarial work over the last couple of years, but I'm in a place that's very flexible, very understanding of what I do. And so having that kind of relationship where it's clear that, you know, I'm very passionate about music, but also I live in London, I have to, you know, have to work. I think that's been quite helpful. So yeah, I guess through trial and error, I kind of got there, really, if that makes sense.
No, of course. Yeah. I think that reflects so many people's realities.
Yeah.
As well, you know, living in London, having to pay the bills, but also
it just has to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It has to be done. And, you know, you're a hustler, you're a grafter.
Exactly.
You are, you know, I've looked back and you've been at this radio station, you know,
that's so cool. Yeah.
BBC Introducing in London and One Extra, and, you know, and it's been a journey for you, I think, emotionally, but like, and I'm really excited because you've got, you know, so far to go as well.
Yeah, exactly. But
what was it like being a finalist in 2018?
Oh wow!
Afropunks with Battle of the Bands.
Yeah, that was. You know what? That was a really lovely experience, and I'm so grateful. At the time, a partner who was very helpful with, you know, promoting and encouraging me as an artist, and, you know, promoting the project, had actually signed me up and just said, you know, you should do this. And before I knew it, the opportunity was presented in front of me. I think there was like a voting system, but I've always followed Afropunk. So to me, it was quite surreal. I think, you know, little old me is like, what? You know, playing Afropunk. But also it's just a lovely experience. And there's people that I met there to this day that I still speak to. It was really nice.
I think it's so important to create a network of people as well.
Yeah,
so like the connections you've made there, that, you know, they can support you, they can encourage you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, speaking of festivals, you know, what are your thoughts on? I'm going to throw a statistic. 35% of women actually perform at Coachella. I mean, does that surprise you at all?
It doesn't surprise me. It's obviously a very disappointing figure, but yeah, I guess. Yeah. What can you say?
That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts when, you know, you saw Beyonce, someone you really aspire to, headlining in 2018?
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. I almost feel like, I mean, Beyonce is Beyonce. It shouldn't have to be 2018 that we wait, you know, till for any woman to headline Coachella. But, you know, yeah, it's good to see this happening more, but I think there's room for improvement, like throughout festivals around the world. The lineups do tend to be quite, you know, very kind of straight, white, cisgender, male focused. So I guess, you know, there's definitely room for change there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, on all levels, on all platforms as well.
Exactly.
I mean, what challenges have you faced as a young Black woman in the music industry? You know, is it because there's not enough female black artists that are like selling venues because they're always giving attention to, you know, to white males? Is it because there's, you know, there needs more support on the promoter side, or is it the music industry itself? Like, I feel like there's so many different levels.
Yeah, I think everything that you've said is, I mean, everything you've mentioned there, I totally agree with you. I think it's coming from many areas in the music industry, from how artists are promoted to just like the same, you know, receiving the same kind of opportunities, you know. So I think it is tough. I mean, personally myself, I remember I was quite young, maybe like 13, 14. I had an experience where I was sitting opposite an A&R from a big label who listened to a collection of songs that I'd made at the time and told me that I wasn't, you know, it's not really interesting for a black artist to sing traditionally black music, and that I should try to, you know, sing folk music. This is his words verbatim. And I had a few similar run-ins with other producers like that, you know, when you're quite young and impressionable. So that always made me scared. I can't imagine how many other artists might feel. There is such a glass ceiling there, and I can imagine it's difficult for sure for, you know, for other artists as well. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely like a wake up call of that this isn't ever going to be easy, because this is a problem that's mirrored around the world, you know, systemic racism from the fashion industry to, I don't know, banking. This is an issue, and I think until general attitudes change or people become aware of things, that's when we can hope to see it mirrored in, you know, the music industry or whatever. I hope anyway.
No, definitely, I completely agree. I mean, you know, it's been what, 2 months now? It's been 2 months since the passing of George Floyd, and Black Lives Matter movement. You know, it's inspired so many people, and it's given them a voice and an understanding, I think, for people who, you know, maybe lived a sheltered life, didn't know that was happening, and so we're uniting together. But as you've mentioned, you know, there's so much more change that needs to be done. And I mean, how can people watching this, listening to this, you know, understand to be a better ally?
Sure. I think, like anything, it's just you know, being willing to have conversations with people around you, even if it is slightly uncomfortable. I think it's worth it. Like, I have to, even myself, like in terms of other things, and I think, how can I be a better ally to my friends when I'm thinking about topics that, you know, or something that doesn't apply to me. And I think I've got a lot of learning to do as well. I have to be willing to have these conversations with people around me, and, you know, but I guess even though it seems like such a small thing, I think that's where the big difference is being made. You know, I don't know, sitting around the Christmas table with an uncle that might say something a little bit, you know, racist or homophobic, and is sitting there and explaining why that's not okay. And, you know, so yeah, I guess it does get tiring as well. I guess, like, it's obviously quite tough, or a lot of my friends I spoke to found it emotionally quite stressful. But yeah, it's the world we live in, and it's necessary. I think we just have to be willing to educate each other, and also know when, and be willing to learn. Like, I don't know everything. Sometimes I get things wrong, but I really want to learn and help people around me. So I guess that will.
No, definitely, that willing to learn. And like you said, you know, the things that might start off small, but those comments that those individuals said to you, they were small comments for them to say, but they were massively impressionable on you. And especially as someone at that age as well, you know, you're developing, you're learning, you're growing. For someone to basically turn around and smash your dreams because of your race and gender, you know,
exactly,
that's awful. We should be developing individuals and, you know, helping them be the best that they can be.
Exactly. I think so. I think so.
And it's frustrating to hear that, you know, as an individual. And
for sure.
I mean, how can we provide better education, but also music and for those, you know, those musicians who are getting into that industry? Should it be appropriate support networks, or?
Yes, definitely. And I think, like, I have noticed a few different management companies or promotion companies running schemes, and, you know, things they can do to help younger Black artists, or, you know, queer artists. And I think it is important. It's so helpful to have these kind of like funds that are being run, or different opportunities that we normally don't get looked at for. We don't have the option of applying for, or whatever. I think it's helpful in terms of the music industry anyway, just to see it kind of open up and allow more opportunities for marginalised people. So yeah, I think that could be a way in tackling it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's helping each other up and pulling a hand for individuals,
sure.
everyone to do so.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's like enough venues in London, obviously where you've grown up, that showcase an original variety of music?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I would like to think so. Particularly growing up in East London, from what I saw, to become inspired and be able to perform jazz music or R&B, I did enjoy that we did have that kind of selection in London. And that's the good thing, I think, for any musician that moves here. There's a jam night any night of the week that goes on till early hours of the morning, and you can meet some amazing musicians and collaborate. So I think that has been the good thing about growing up in this city. Probably wasn't so aware of it when I was younger, but when I went to study music, I studied in northwest London, and I kind of got an idea of the music venues and how it works. But I do feel quite concerned or worried about the future, of live music at the moment, and I guess how all these venues are doing, like, whether they'll be able to survive. I hope so.
I know, it's so sad. I know quite a few of like independent venues that are already shutting down. They're relying on donations. People
exactly.
Really support these venues, because
for sure
they're the ones that are supporting emerging talent and diverse talent,
absolutely,
and the sounds of London. And so what are you hoping the next steps are for you?
I guess because this all kind of came together quite spontaneously for me, especially I think it became like the first week into lockdown, and I thought, okay, let me put a single out. I've been working on this for a while. Let me commit to put it out. And then before I knew it, let me put the EP out. The songs are kind of falling together. Let's see what happens. And so I think this has really helped with my confidence. Like these last 2 releases has helped me kind of realise, just trusting yourself a little bit more. And so I think I'm just going to keep going, keep putting music out, keep writing, and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I'm your biggest fan, 100%.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I mean, like, because you just said with lockdown and creating music, and it's developed your confidence. I mean, do you think then the pandemic has played, and lockdown, an instrumental role in, the development of who you are as an individual? Has there been some lessons that you've learned about yourself, maybe your music, during this time?
That's a very good, I mean, it's definitely been the most, I've never had so much time to think over